Hey guys, I'd like to begin this by saying this is a little less conventional episode of the 13th Floor. Alex and Cece are not with me today. Instead, I am joined by Roderick Jefferson and with David Lyons and Wendy, who are with the Murder Police podcast. And this is going to be more of an interview style format. I met Roderick, had the pleasure and privilege of meeting Roderick, and he told me a phenomenal backstory that I thought I wanted everybody who listens to us to know about. So, Roderick, above all else, whenever I talk to you, it was downright inspiring, and it certainly overlapped with the fact that we do Keep It Strange here, and this is a rather unique series of circumstances. So, with that, I'll let you hop in and tell us your why.
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it because I believe that I've got a strange and unique story to tell that honestly, that the goal here is to help others, to make sure that they can find some balance and um not just do what you do, but focus on who you are and your why and the people in your circle and in your tribe. And I'll talk about a little later how easy it is to lose sight of that. So I am Roderick Jefferson. I'm the CEO of Roderick Jefferson and Associates. We're a consulting and a keynote speaking company. So there's a couple of different components to the business. But it all started way back. I mean, 30 years ago or so, I got into corporate and I call myself a recovering corporate executive, if you will. I got to the level of vice president, senior vice president. I was flying around the world in corporate jets and corporate helicopters and meeting with kings and queens and heads of state and two different presidents. And I thought that I had reached the pinnacle of success. Now, most would agree it was a really good life. The problem was what was happening unbeknownst to me right in front of my eyes is my focus had always been to provide and protect for my family. I had two small children at the time, and I had convinced myself that all the things that I was doing was to take care of them and create a wonderful life for them. And I did. Problem was along the way, who I was, the innate person that I am, a people person, someone that cares deeply about relationships and friends and chosen family and even colleagues, got lost. When I got to vice president, I got to a point where I started to become who I thought a corporate executive was. I live here in Silicon Valley in California, so it was very easy to get caught up in that lifestyle. Having the right title, the right company I worked for, the right vehicle that I drove, the right neighborhood that I was in, the right schools for my kids. And I realized none of that really mattered because I lost me in the process. And since I've learned, look, corporate America is here to make a profit, not friends. And I wish someone
Yeah.
had told me that earlier in my career as well. And so to fast forward, I was in Los Angeles getting prepared for sales kickoff and doing a keynote speech. Just like every other regular night before a keynote, I'm with my team. We're out, we're having dinner, we're having a great time, having a couple of cocktails. And the next thing I know, I look up from the table and I've fallen asleep literally in the middle of a sentence. Now, I'm thought, wow, what's going on? And they're saying, hey, boss, are you okay? What's going on? I thought, maybe I got narcolepsy, right? And I tried to play it off. That wasn't it. That was the beginning of what was to be far deeper when it comes to medical issues that I was dealing with that I wasn't even aware of. As I was walking back to my room, I remember it felt like it was about 30 miles away from the restaurant and it was inside of the hotel. And I
Wow.
remember that as I was walking, I had to remind myself, lift your left leg, step, lift your right leg, step, lift your left leg. And it became harder and harder to walk. And it felt like I was literally drudging through quicksand. So I get back to my room and I started to prep for tomorrow's keynote, just looking over a few notes and checking my slides and making sure that everything was ready to go. I was like, all right, fine, I'm going to call it a night. Just like every other time on the road. And when I say the road, at that point, I was moving around so much that in 18 months, I did London, Paris, Geneva, Sao Paulo, Rio, Toronto, Beijing, Hong Kong, and Sydney.
Yeesh.
I had become an outside member of my own family, right? And I'll come back to that moment and that the other moment in just a second. I remember coming home from one of those trips. I'd been on the road for a good 2 weeks. And I said to my wife, I remember we were standing in the kitchen and I said, "Babe, I am so sick of hotel food. Can you just make some greasy tacos tonight? Please." And look, everyone laughs, but here's where it changed. My young son looked at me and he said, "Dad, Thursday's shake and bake night. We don't do tacos."
No.
I thought, oh no, they've got an entire life without me. They have built an entire lifestyle. I'm just a guy that provided benefits and a direct deposit every 2 weeks. I'm the guy that flew in, got my dry cleaning, and I was back off to another amazing um, story that was about to unfold in front of me. Now back to where I was. I go to sleep, I wake up the next morning, and whenever I'm on the road, my wife and I always jump on a call and just kind of compare notes. What's going on with the kids? What's happening? How are they doing with their homework? And what's going on with the family? And that was, again, I'd convinced myself that that's all it took for me to stay connected with them. Not that I was connected to them, but I was connecting with them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So here's where it changes. The next morning, imagine having a stroke in the middle of the night. And I have since learned from the American Stroke Society Association is that 98% of sleep stroke victims never wake up. So that's
Oof.
miracle number one. I actually woke up. So my wife and I are on the call, we're talking, and I hear my voice the same way that you do right now. But she heard mumbles, jumbled, blah, 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 was what I sounded like. And she said, "Babe, you don't sound right. I need you to say the ABCs." I was like, I'm 55. I think I know my ABCs. I said,
Right.
"Sure, just to amuse you. ABLQXWYJIP." And now I'm starting to get a little concerned. She says, "I need you to count to 10. Oh, okay. 1, 12, 46, 53, 17, 5, 94. And she said, "Something's wrong. I need you to jump on FaceTime with me right now." Now, little did I know that she was about to walk me through stroke protocol. And bear in mind, I am mid stroke right now,
Yeah.
and I'm not even aware of it. Had I not talked to her, I probably would have just gone on about my day and had my meetings and stood up on the stage and probably froze in front of the entire world, if not worse, died right there in front of them. She walked me through stroke protocol and she said, "Baby, you're having a stroke and I need you to go to the emergency room." Thankfully, I had some folks on my team that were with me, and I always stop right here and say shout out, huge shout out to Tim Carlson for literally saving my life. Thank you, my friend. I truly appreciate it, and I appreciate you because what he did was he called 911. He came flying down the hall to my room along with the staff from the hotel and the paramedics. They came in, they checked me, and confirmed, yes, it was a full blown stroke.
Hmm.
They take me to the emergency room. They check my heart. They check my brain. They check a number of things, and they release me 90 minutes later. While I'm still
My.
stuttering, I'm stammering, I'm in the middle of a stroke. And for some reason, they thought it was okay for me to leave. I leave, and that was the day I was supposed to be flying home. I get on the plane in Los Angeles. I fly back to the Bay Area mid stroke. Here comes miracle number two.
Oof.
I land. My wife takes me directly to the emergency room. My son takes my vehicle, takes it home. First thing they said to my wife is, medically, there's no reason this man should be alive. With cabin pressure, altitude, mid stroke, you should be dead.
Wow.
I'm there for a bit and it starts to get worse. Now I'm snowblind. It's not that things are dark, things are light all the time. So I can't tell day from night. I can barely see anything in the room because it's so bright. It's like having a light in your eyes all the time. And if you're a
Mhm.
skier, you'll definitely, or a snowboarder, you'll definitely understand what snowblind is like. For those that aren't, it's like I said, it's like having a light in your eyes 24 hours a day. So now I have no concept of what time it is, whether it's day, whether it's night, and it continues to get worse. I lost the entire use of my left side.
Mm.
My arms and my legs are fully paralyzed. Now, here's where I know God has a sense of humor because my stroke, and remember, I said I'm a professional keynote speaker, I get paid to talk. It was in the middle of my speech center. But then now
Wow.
here's the next miracle. My neurologist said it was smack dab in the middle of your speech center. Had it been a millimeter north, east, south, or west, we would not be having this conversation.
Dang.
Fast forward, I'd been in the hospital, the hotel. I felt like a hotel at that
Mm.
point. In the hospital for a couple of weeks. Now I can't talk at all. I'm stammering, I'm stuttering, I'm losing weight like crazy. They're feeding me through IV and they're giving me Ensure and Boost because that's the only thing I can actually swallow. Because now the muscles in my throat are starting to weaken.
Mm.
And that night, my wife left the hotel. Now, bear in mind, this was just 4 years ago, 2021, or 5 years ago now,
Yeah.
2021. This wasn't 20, 15 years ago. No.
Right.
We were in the middle of COVID, which meant other than FaceTime, my family couldn't see me other than my wife. Now, I'm paralyzed. I can't talk. I'm lying here. And I don't have any advocates to even talk to the doctors in room. My wife would come in, but because I'm in ICU, it was the worst of the worst. I didn't want her there much. And one
Sure.
time she had left, and she tells me later now, because the first 4 days of hospital, I was comatose. I don't even remember it. But future forward or fast forward now, she says the night that she went, one night she went home and she cried all the way home from the hospital because she swore to herself that she would never see me alive again because I looked
Oh.
that bad. And she wasn't wrong. That night, I'm lying in bed. I'm on full blast of oxygen because I can barely inflate my own lungs because I can barely breathe. And suddenly I hear code blue. Lights are flashing and blue things are going everywhere and the machines are beeping. And suddenly I hear beep, 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 beep. I flatlined and I'm dead, medically and legally dead. So I don't leave the room. I floated up to the corner of the room. I'm looking down on the doctors and nurses. They're sucking out fluids, they're doing chest compressions, and I'm watching all this happen in real time. Now, I've got old man eyes here, which means I'm in my glasses all the time. That night, I didn't have my glasses on. It was the most beautiful and vibrant colors of oranges and greens and blues and reds that I've ever seen in my life without my glasses. There's
Without your
nothing.
eyes.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that clearly without glasses since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I look to my left, it's my mom. My mom died in 1999. This is 2021 now at that time. And I said, "Okay, mama, I've done everything that I can do. I'm ready to go home." And she said, "No, baby, I was here for two reasons. One, to tell you they're going to figure this out and you're going to be okay. And the second is something I'll talk about a little later. And that is what's my new purpose and my new mission in life." We had a small chat conversation. I said, "Good, because I've got questions." I'm looking, mom, she's gone. Suddenly,
Mhm.
I'm sucked back into my body. I'm lying flat. I'm looking up at the doctors and nurses now, but I still can't move because I'm paralyzed. And next, I hear the one word that no human wants to hear: clear. He starts rubbing the
Oh.
paddles. He's coming down to hit me with the paddles. Now, bear in mind, as I said, my left side is completely paralyzed. Thank God he was on my right side. But I'm still flatlined. What it sounded like is kind of when you go to the doctor and you get gas or you get twilight. You can hear things, but you can't really, everything sounds mumbled, kind of like Charlie Brown's teacher. A lot of want going on in the
Mm.
room. but I know that there was a whole lot of activity and people moving around and chasing and moving and changing places. And one was doing this and another one was doing the other. And one's rubbing my chest. And I'm like, people, I'm thinking to myself, this hurt. I can feel this. And then suddenly I go from beep to beep, 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 beep. I reach out and I grab his hand before he hits me with the paddle. And at that point, the only thing I remember was them yelling ERT, ERT, ERT. And later I find out that is emergency response team. Because I'm back, those doctors step back and a specialty group steps in their place. I had to go through physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, learn how to walk, talk, use a spoon, tie my shoes, do his shirt, all that all over again. And I remind you, this is the next miracle. I'm still alive. And this entire story I just shared with you was only 5 years ago. I am now, I'd probably say 85, 90% back. And again, I'm not the typical stroke victim. Both of my hands are working now. My legs are working. I can speak. I don't stammer. And I've now spoken in 15 countries to tell this story. Now I'll tell you the second piece that my mom said. And this is all in my new book with so much more. This is just the highlights. If you think this is crazy, wait till you read the rest of the book. The book's called Stroke of Success. And I was very specific in what I called it because that success is what nearly killed me permanently. And it gave me a new impression and a new purpose and a new mission. My mom said, my goal is to come back every single day and touch what she called the invisible people. These are the people that work at the hospitals, at the hotels, the valets, the waitresses, all the people that we know are there, but they're almost an intrusion into our lives. She said, my
Mhm.
job is to give them a smile, but not just a smile, to show them every day, one person. It could be someone that I pass when I'm getting gas in my car, or if I'm, shopping at Safeway or wherever I am. The goal here is to make sure that everyone feels not just heard, but seen. I've had people come and tell me later, I was ready to end it all. And your smile just changed that because I felt seen. I felt human. Somebody cared about me. There was a reason for me to stay on this planet. Look, I don't think that I'm high and mighty or above anyone or better than anyone. But I do know that I have an opportunity now to impact people, both on a daily basis with my keynotes and with my books, etc. And I'm going to take every opportunity I can to help others. Because what I didn't mention earlier is something I lived and learned through my experience as an executive. Right. I was trading off my ambition, the risk of neglecting well-being, and the tools that define me as success, defined by my ego, and I'm the first to say it now. And so I now talk all over the world, as I said, and in the book. And my point here is, and I'm all about success. I'm still an A++. I've just learned to temper it now. I'll say that. Right. And what I now do is
Sure.
offer a caution and hopefully an inspiration as well around empowerment when people are pursuing their dreams with their passions. But now I want them to add something onto that. And that is the protection of their health, their happiness, and their well-being. We all talk about life, work balance. Doesn't exist. What I now look at is how do you find brain and heart balance? How do you now go back and remember what's your why? For me, it was my family, and it is my family again. Why do I do what I do? Well, I narrow it down to 4 things that I call my 4 F's: faith, family, friends, and fun. Now, that first one, faith, I'm not talking about religion per se. What I'm talking about is what I found out to be faith every single night when I was in that hospital and I was lying there. I asked God one question, and one question only, and one request only. Don't make me better. Don't get me out of this. God, please just allow me to wake up tomorrow and see one more day. We've all heard the old adage of tomorrow's not promised. I know what it's like to not have a tomorrow. And I want to talk about that last F of fun. Right before I had my stroke, and people ask me, did you get warning shots? Was anything different or off? Actually, no. And that's the problem with strokes is they will kill you and you'll never even see whether you got hit from the front or the back. Now,
Mm,
you're listening to this and going, I've never had a stroke and probably won't. Huh. I pray that you don't. But I've also learned from the American Heart Association that one out of every individuals, humans over the age of 25 will incur a stroke at some point in your life. The one that killed me was my second. I didn't even know I had the first one. Now, you may not have a stroke, but now let's apply it to I'm stressed all the time. I'm living at that red line of stress, and I've gotten comfortable with it. I've got problems in my relationships. I'm having problems with my coworkers. I'm having problems with my family. It manifests different for everyone. And what I want you to do is find a way to find some time for you, just you. How do you do it? I want to give you something practical. Every day I start out with a whiteboard here in front of me, a clean whiteboard, because I've cleaned it from the day before already. Because every single day I put 4 things on that whiteboard. 3 things that I'm going to do professionally, and 1 thing I'm going to do just for fun for me. Not for anybody else, not my kids, not my grand, not my wife, no one, just for me.
nice.
Some days it's just about sitting out in my backyard. Sometimes it's hanging out in my bocce court. Sometimes it's me and Baskin Robbins, right?
Nice.
Here's where I want you to change your mindset. I don't want you to take that 4th one as a treat for yourself. It's not a cheat day when I'm on my diet or anything of that sort. No, I want it to become integrated into your day and into your life. Because right before I had my stroke, my daughter asked me, Dad, you've been all over the world. You've done this. You've done the other. You know these people and you sent it and done this. But Dad, what do you do for fun? What do you do just for you? And I looked at her and I said, what is this fun you speak of, child? Right? But it also reminded me that I had nothing that I did for me.
Mm,
Now, a friend of mine said something that really jarred me, and as crazy and funny as it sounds, he says he has never seen a hearse at a funeral with a U-Haul connected to the back.
mm,
Can't take it
yeah.
with you. Now, I don't knock having a great lifestyle. I don't knock success. I don't knock having fill in the blank. But I want to ask you and leave you with this one question. It's all wonderful, but what are you willing to give up? At what cost? Because success is going to cost you something.
Certainly.
Lifestyle is going to cost you something. Being A++ is going to cost you something. It could be time, it could be relationships, or it could be like me, and it could be your life. And if you're willing to give that up, more power to you. But I'll tell you this, for someone that's died and been brought back, I'm not willing to give that up until it's time for me finally to go.
Mhm. Wow. Thank you so
Profound
much.
story.
That was,
Literally,
yeah,
thank God that you survived that.
Thank you.
One
yeah.
thing I noticed is that you have no speech impediment that I can tell.
None,
When
no
yeah,
detection.
and when you said stroke, I paid attention to that too. So your recovery is miraculous, and I mean that in that literal term. What an
Absolutely.
incredible story. Did they tell you when they thought your first previous unknown stroke might have occurred? Did they give any idea on that or?
Yeah, it was within 4 years of the big one. I only know
Okay.
this because when they did the brain scans, they found one on the upper left quadrant and also the lower right.
Gotcha.
Mm,
Gotcha.
interesting.
Probably some
Yeah,
damage
this
from that
is,
too.
mm,
Absolutely.
that's Yeah, I mean, legitimately ditto. It's miraculous. Speaking of miraculous, did that experience affect how you view, um, for lack of a better word, the more invisible world, the metaphysical side of things?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. What it did was it changed my definition of success. And what I mean is, when I was in corporate, my measuring stick was more, 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 right? After that, it was better, better, better. I want better conversations. I want better relationships. I want better conversations with friends. I want better interaction with humans. And I also want people to know and feel that they're not alone and they're not invisible. They serve a purpose. Whether no one else says anything to that day, whether it's a small wink, whether it's a smile, whether it's a short conversation, they were seen and they were felt and they were heard that day. I'm not trying to save the world. I'm not Superman. There's no cape on me. But what I am is someone that dearly and deeply appreciates people and relationships. Because you think about social media and what it's taught all of us, first of all, I think social media has made all of us less social. Let's start there,
Oh yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And on
Absolutely.
the other side, it's taught us that success is all about connections. For me, success is all about connecting.
yeah, yeah. It's certainly an ego training tool. That's for
Oh,
sure.
100%.
And to your point about, I've said this enough times that it's probably a cliche on the show, sadly, but about living egocentrically, the word for person comes from the word persona, meaning mask. It's so ingrained in us to behave a certain way and to lose ourselves along the way that it's
Indeed.
actually synonymous with a person.
Yeah. I had created a character once I became a vice president. I was no longer Roderick, I became RJ. And that character wore the mask on tightly every single day. I walked like I was a VP. I talked like I was a VP. Drove the right vehicle. I was invited to the right parties and et cetera. But what I realized was the more successful I became, the more financial freedom we gained, the more I started to dislike myself because I knew who I was at my core and I knew how far I had strayed away from it. And I remember looking in the mirror in my bathroom one day and just standing there in tears. And I mean, sobbing because I didn't know who the person was that I was looking at in front of me. And even more so, I hated the person that I was looking at in that mirror.
Mm,
Now I can say since that experience, I not just love myself, I like myself again because everything I do now is done with a servant leadership's heart. It's for someone else. It's not about me anymore. Kind of like when you first become a parent and you realize we got this little bundle of joy that is dependent on me for everything. It's no life is no longer my own. It's not about me. I feel the very
yeah,
same way with the rebirth of coming back from that stroke. It's no longer about me. It's about what can I do to help others. And I don't know that I can necessarily help everyone have a easier life, but I'd like to believe that I can help them have just a wee bit better of a life.
absolutely. You're also
Commendable.
the only, I'm sorry, go for it.
Oh, I just said commendable. Go ahead. I jumped in.
Commendable. Uh, More of an observation. You are the first person I've ever met, not only to have an NDE and discuss it with me, you're also the only person I've ever met who plays bocce. I've only seen that on TV. I just wanted to point that out.
There are a couple of things about bocce. One, my wife is Irish Italian, so they grew up with that
Ah,
as part of things. And
that
we used
adds
to go
up.
out to her grandpa's vineyard every year, and we would because we're super competitive guys. All the guys would go out
Mhm.
and play bocce. And I realized that it wasn't, and I was an athlete growing up, right? And I realized that it's the equalizer because the old guys used to destroy us because we were trying to power our way through like we did everything else. And it was strategy. It was the equivalent of we were playing checkers and the old guys were playing chess, and we were never going to beat them. And they reminded
Like
us of
that.
that too.
Sure.
And so we built a home here. And when we did, the family wanted a swimming pool. We had one in the previous house. And I was like, I don't want another pool. And so I said, what can I do to fill up the entire backyard? Ha ha ha. Let's put in a bocce court, something I knew nobody was going to argue against. But I didn't know what it was
Nice.
going to become. It actually became, excuse me, the center point of socializing, because I'm from Texas and we barbecue. That's what we do. Right. And so
Sure.
I've got my smoker and I've got my various pits out there. So throughout the summers, when it gets really nice out here in the Bay Area, we do bocce and barbecue in the backyard. And we bring our neighbors over, we bring our friends over, we bring over our chosen family. And for me, it's another opportunity to give back to all of those that helped me fight through everything that I had to go through to get back to this person that you see right now. And I am still
Certainly.
a work in progress every single day.
That
And
is
I want to
beautiful.
say one other thing about that piece. I remember early on, I had gotten out of my car to go into a restaurant, and I hung a disabled placard. And I got out. I'm, 6'4", 245, big solid guy. I didn't stammer. My leg didn't drag anymore. I walked and I filled up essentially the room when I walked. And I remember an older lady came in and she said, you parked in the handicap spot. Someone's going to need that. And I said, I am handicapped. And she said, you looked and you sound fine to me. I want to remind people that just because you don't see something physically wrong with someone does not mean that there isn't something going on. Now, David, you
Absolutely.
said I don't stammer or stutter and there's no speech impediment. And I answered quickly, no, I don't. Now, let me give you the full story. I take 15 medications a day to sound like I do right now. And
Wow.
without one of those 15, any of those 15, I have no balance. And I'm right back to stammering, stuttering, and slobbering all over
Sure.
myself all over again. So just because we don't see something wrong with someone, don't assume that everything is okay, that they are quote unquote normal. Because the
How
mental
long did it?
piece is just as bad as the physical, if not worse. Because physicals, people can
Sure.
see it. You get on the train or get into an Uber or whatever, and you've got crutches. People tend to move around, right? They're still nice and they try and give you the seat and whatnot. When I stand there, what do they see? They see a large, healthy man.
Yeah.
Not always.
How long did it take for that combination to be the right combination of medicines?
A good year. I remember they've got me on 3 different blood pressure pills. One raises and the other 2 lowers. So one of them, they
Wow.
put me on this thing called Entresto. If you're on it, get off of it right away. If they're suggesting it, don't get on it. And here's why. My blood pressure, and I check it every day, it's somewhere between 110, 118. So solid numbers. They put me on Entresto. My blood pressure plummeted, should I say, down to 92. I was walking around dizzy, on the verge of passing out constantly. So to your point, it is a delicate balance of finding the right things. And I don't know how many different meds I went through. They sent me
Yeah,
over
I
to
mean, with
Stanford.
15, I knew it had to take some trial and error. There
It
was
took some
no
trial and
doubt about
error,
that.
right? And I realized why they said that doctors are practicing. Yeah, they were definitely practicing on me.
Mhm.
No question. They sent me off to Stanford. I had 15 neurologists
Dang.
that were studying me, that were poking and prodding me.
Yeah.
Probably
Goodness.
By
because
the
they were
way, when I was in
interested.
the
Yeah.
hospital, it was counted because I asked them in the chart. I think everybody knows when you're in the hospital, that is not the place to go if you want to get some rest. because it's not going to happen there. I got poked
Yeah.
86 times while I was in the hospital.
Mm,
Felt like a
dang.
living cushion. I walked out of
Yeah.
there in just an absolute mess.
Mm, goodness.
I was
What were
going
you
to say
saying,
that,
David?
that they're probably a lot of it is they were probably mystified of your survival. There's
That's a
probably a
good
They
lot
were
of,
point.
surprised I was
yeah,
still alive, David, and they just
that's it.
wanted to find out how.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Mm,
it. I mean, that could be what they could glean from that might help you obviously
Absolutely.
treat other people. But I think
intriguing.
in your world, you were quite the specimen as far
I
as what they
was,
had
and I
on
was at
hand. Yeah.
a teaching hospital,
Oh, there we
right?
go.
Which
Yeah.
meant at any given time for rounds, there was probably 15 to 20 med students
Absolutely. Yeah.
touching and tweaking and prodding and asking me questions. And can you lift your arm? Can you move this? Can you do that? And I'd look at them and I'd go, that's all I can do is this.
Yeah.
Shake my
Mm,
head in the smallest semblance. And then, of course,
dang.
it's, well, okay, he's got these symptoms. What do you think it is? And the doctors would ask all of the students, and I'd be like, the first 5 thinking in my head, nope, you're wrong. Nope, that's not it either. Nice try. And then finally, with someone would go, okay. And most of my conversation was through my eyebrows, oddly enough, because I couldn't talk. So I
Yeah.
would just kind of lift my eyebrows when they were getting close, like when we were kids. It's cold, colder. Oh, you're getting warm.
Yeah. There we go.
But yes, I was their specimen for a while.
Goodness. Well, where can people find Stroke of Success?
Thanks for asking. It is on my website at roderickjefferson.com. That's RODERICK Jefferson.com. And what they'll get is actually a signed copy from me. And also my team has put together a really nice package together beyond just a book that I have them send out as a prize and as a thank you for purchasing it. Now,
Excellent.
you can get it on Amazon as well, but you're not going to get it personalized. So send it over my way so I can at least say something nice to you.
Absolutely. Oh, wow. That was an incredible story. Thank you so much for joining us, and
I
thank you,
appreciate it.
David and Wendy, for helping play defense in this. I almost said bocce match, but I don't know how the rules to bocce, so I'll just say tennis match because I know that better. But this was phenomenal. But yeah, look for it on roderickjefferson.com, and just thank you so much for being here to share this with me.
Thank you all. I truly appreciate it.
Did
Good
you have a
deal.
question?
I did have a question.
Yes.
Here we
Wendy,
go.
you
Yeah.
were awful
Roderick.
quiet over there.
Well,
Yeah, thanks.
I was so interested, and I don't know if you can see me because it looks like the screen's looking at a
I can
blank
see you.
wall, but
Yeah, I
I'm
see.
over here.
Oh, you can. I see. I see
Yep,
a
I
corner.
see you.
Yeah.
You see a corner. No, I was going to ask Roderick, that time when you crossed over and you saw your mother, did they verify how long it was from the time that you had flatlined until they brought you back? Was it
Excellent
minutes?
question.
And did you
It was
feel
minutes.
like
Yeah,
that you
it
were
was minutes.
gone?
Not enough to impact brain function and
Right.
oxygen, but I have a neurologist appointment coming up, and it's interesting. I've never actually asked him how long I was out.
How long did it feel like you saw your mother? Was it
Oh,
just
it
like a
felt like
brief
it was, I mean,
gone?
an extended period of time. We had a full-blown conversation.
So that's why I was wondering during that time when you saw her, it would be so interesting to know, were you just out for 1 minute, but it felt like you were
No,
with her for a
it
long
was far longer than
time?
a minute. It was definitely several minutes that I
Yeah.
was out.
But that is a
That much I
common
know
thread
because
in
I
near
could hear all
death.
the movement going on, and I could still see the people going, and they weren't in, warp speed walking around. They were very, very intentional. And like I said, it was as though someone was there and then they would shift and others would come in, except for the one doctor stayed in the same place, but everybody else shifted around him. Whether it was, like I said, they were pulling out fluids, they were taking turns, should I say, in chest compressions and
That's
all those things.
Did you
that's even
feel
more
like
interesting. Oh, go for it.
did you feel like when you had to leave or you turned around and your mom was gone, Was that kind of a feeling of sorrow,
It was
or were you
disappointing.
like, "Whew, I'm glad I made it back"?
No, it was a mixed bag. It was I hadn't seen my mom since '99, and then she looked just like she did when she was
That
here.
was my next question. Did she look
She was just like
just
her.
like
She
you
had on her
recall her?
purple muumuu, the hair was done the same way. She wasn't old. She was the way that I remember her, but she wasn't really young. I remember it was the way that I remember her right before she got sick. She died from kidney failure. So she was healthy and happy and full of life and vigor. And when I went back and when they brought me back, my first thought was, where'd mama go? And my second thought was, oh God, I'm back.
Yeah.
I've got some work to do. I've got things I'm supposed to do.
Were you relieved to be back?
I was. On one
Yeah.
hand, I was disappointed because I wanted to stay with my mom. On the other side,
Sure.
now I have an opportunity to be with my family again. And now mama's giving me my marching orders.
Yeah.
I got some work to do.
Yeah.
And you know what? I realized that I hadn't done everything I was supposed to do yet.
Yeah.
Aside
think
from
that-
if you can keep talking about the NDE, because I follow that quite a bit. Leo, I'm like you. I watch about every documentary I can find. I'm fascinated by it.
Certainly.
How
So you're
close
there
is
with
my
your
story
mother.
to others?
Pardon me?
So how is my story? How close is my story to others?
In my opinion, spot on. I mean, everything I've seen.
Yeah.
And what I was going to
Yes, you
ask is,
can't.
you
That's
have
something
that.
you never forget.
No, yeah, you have that presence with your mother. Was there a time when you felt anything else pulling you or directing you to go past the presence with your mother?
No.
Any other
Again, we
direction?
never
Okay.
left the room. It was
Okay,
just
gotcha.
up in the
Gotcha.
corner of the room, looking
Yeah.
down on what they were doing in my hospital room. And even as far as being pulled back into my body, that one was so fast. It was like literally I went zoop, and I got sucked back into my body. It
Interesting.
wasn't like I just kind of meandered and went, oh, okay, I'm going to lay down and and be back.
Fascinating. Yeah.
No, it sucked me
One-
back faster than I've ever moved in my life.
One
And then it felt
one
like
thing
I
that
had never
stands
left
out.
because they were in the middle of chest compressions. And
Sure.
for those that have never been through this, that's not a light touch on your sternum. That is
Oof.
painful.
Yeah.
I've been on the other side,
Man.
so I can understand the pain that has to inflict.
Mm.
And another thing, I'm just on this too, is that did you share that with any of the hospital staff in the
But yeah, I told
days?
my
or
neurologist, I told my cardiologist
Okay.
and my speech therapist, occupational therapist. I told everybody
Okay.
that would listen.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always
Nice.
curious how people respond when they hear, especially if you can look and describe some of the procedures they were doing in the order
And
they
I
were
was.
doing
I
it.
was able to tell
Yeah.
them what I could do when I was and
Yeah.
that's where again I became that specimen because I was the guy that every charge nurse came to see me. Every time we changed rotations and I guess the word started to get out, right?
Sure.
And everybody would want to come. And I don't know how many times I had to retell that story. And it never gets old.
Sure. No, it can't. That's in
I can't
perpetuity.
tell it enough because that's part
Yeah.
of my testimony on one. And the other side, it was an opportunity to say that miracles do still exist because I am one. Multiple
Amen.
times as you heard in the story.
Amen.
Yeah.
Where are you
And
guys
Leo,
located?
we are in central Kentucky.
Okay.
Just outside Lexington.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're like
And you said
15 minutes from me.
Yeah.
Oh,
And you
okay.
said you're in the Bay Area of Texas.
No.
What's the-
No, oh,
He's
California
in
now.
California.
California.
I'm in
Okay,
California.
I thought
I grew up in
you were raised. There we go. That's different. Okay, good deal. So, and Leo,
Absolutely.
you were about to say something, and I walked on you too. So I
Oh,
apologize. I
no,
think
not
it's
to
the drag
worry.
on Riverside. So
Yeah. Well, out of respect for your time, Roderick, I just want to make one more observation.
Yeah,
One
no worries.
thing, I'm very glad that David and Wendy mentioned the time related question, because I've studied, I don't know how many, probably close to 100 near death experiences. Usually, if someone experiences time differently, they experience it normally within the room and then differently elsewhere. Whereas you manage to have sort of a peculiar simultaneous experience where you're observing real time, Earth time, but your personal experience and your conversation is different. So that is rather novel.
If I'm going to do it, I can't do it like everybody else. How about that?
There we go. Yeah. Has
Yeah.
to
I
be
got to do
unique.
something a little
So,
different. Just
very
throw a little
interesting.
different twist in there. Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
that before too. That never before had they heard that I was experiencing Earth time at the same time that I was in my NDE.
Yeah.
Like 1
Very
foot in
interesting.
each side of the time thing.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
And I
It's
think
like you're
that
a
goes back to your question
spiritual
earlier
amphibian.
about
Yes, there
why
we
I
go.
never pushed to go to the other side even further, because I still had 1 foot in both worlds. Now,
Yeah,
had I
sure.
stepped over, I believe that probably would have been it for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That one would have
Makes
closed the show,
sense.
but I never really fully left. I was never fully in, should I say, either of the worlds. I was in both of them concurrently, which
Yeah.
my neurologist thinks is really, really weird
Mhm.
because he
Yeah.
said,
Did you see anything else besides your mom?
no, just her. And it
Mm.
wasn't even as though there was like a flickering of a light first. And then I looked over and that's when I knew that, because remember, I'm thinking I'm the only one up here. And I saw this flickering light and I looked to my left and then all of a sudden, boom, there she is.
Did you get to hug her or just talk?
There was just a talk. There was actually no embrace, no touching. And again, I think had that happened, Wendy, I would have now been fully on that side.
Yeah.
Very intriguing.
I believe
Wow.
that. I believe
As
that.
much as I
Yeah.
wanted to, and I remember now afterwards, I thought I didn't get a hug. Right?
Yeah.
Mama had the
Yeah.
best hugs, right? Real
Yeah.
hug. And I thought I didn't get a
Sure,
hug.
sure.
And the more
Yeah.
I've talked to people, they've been very clear on, had you actually touched her, had you actually hugged her, you would have gone home with her that day.
Yeah. Wow. That
And
is
that
so
was that
Fascinating.
delineating gap. We were
Yeah.
next to each other, but there was no elbow bump. We never actually touched.
Right. Fascinating.
But I know my
Yeah.
mama. And matter
Yeah.
of fact, she looked just like, let me see, this picture of her right there.
Huh.
She sits right over my shoulder every day.
Yeah. Wow. Well, again,
Fascinating.
Roderick, thank you so much for this.
Thank you
This
for
was
allowing me to
incredible. This
share
was
it. I
moving.
truly appreciate it.
Yes,
How
thank you,
far
sir.
before this one drops?
You should drop Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll let you know, and I'll send you anything that has your requests, and be able to promote it. And one last thing that we do have to do though, and when it's on video, it always gets butchered. David and Wendy can attest to that. I'm gonna say, until next time, we hope that you can, and then we all say, keep it strange. Don't worry, if it's butchered, we don't have to do multiple takes on that. So here
That's
we
okay.
go. So everybody, thanks so much, and until next time, we hope that you can keep it strange. I actually
Good
look
deal.
forward to the butchered ones, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think
All
everybody
right.
that listens does. And Leo, I
Yeah.
just need